Welcome to Berlinale Talents. Welcome to Eternal Summer Making Arthouse Hot Again. We're very happy to have these wonderful experts on stage with us. And this is an event in cooperation with Creative Europe Media, one of our longtime partners. And before we start, I'd like to introduce you to Sunmi Peten from Creative Europe Media. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Hello, everybody. So I will be short. So I'm happy to represent here Creative Europe Media. We are happy to support Berlinale Talents, which gives you such great opportunities that you will remember for all your life. I'm very happy to introduce briefly this session because it's very important. And I feel all your creativity and talent, and it will be hard work to make it happen as a film, but after it's also important that it is seen and it is promoted, so that's why I think that this session is very important and you will get all the secrets. So I hope you received the leaflet in your bag concerning media, so we can help you at different stages really, like training, like market access events where you will meet decision makers. You can also be participant on our stand. We have a very nice stand. And we are present in the biggest events, so it is an excellent opportunity to really be in the marketplace. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Sunmi. And without much more from my side, I hand the microphone over to the wonderful moderator of the session, Rebecca de Paz. I think I stole yours. So.
Thank you, Hella. So yes, I have the privilege to moderate this roundtable, how to make a art film hot again. That is an interesting topic, of course. So summer 1993. I will briefly introduce you, the participant, and then I would like to show you a clip. First of all, because it's beautiful, because we are talking of a beautiful film, and I would like you all to be in the mood of the film before we start. So here on my left, there is the sales agent of the film, Jan Najewski from New Europe Sales. I think most of you have seen his very, very smart and brilliant communication campaign right outside the Martin Gropiusbau. Then there is the main producer of the film, Valérie Delpierre from Initia Film, the director, Carla Simón, and the German distributor from Grand Film, Stefan Büsmühlen. So please, if we can play the first clip. So maybe we can... So let's start from the beginning. This is meant to be a practical session, so I can have one question all over the session is how you did it, how you make it. So the first one, maybe Carla, you can start and see what is the origin of this project and how you start to work on it.
Okay, yeah, it works, right? Yeah. So, well, the origin is it's my own story. So I was studying at the London Film School, and I made a short film about two kids facing the death of their grandma, and then I realized that it was something that I really wanted to keep exploring, and I realized that it was because probably I'm very sensitive to kids facing death. So I decided to write about this time where my mom died, and then I changed my family. So we had worked together with Valérie in my graduation film for the London Film School, and when she asked me, what are you gonna do next? I told her that I was starting to write this, that I had tried to write as a short first, as my graduation short, but I realized that there were too many things I wanted to say, so I decided to keep it as a first feature. So it's more or less how everything started. So I started writing the script in June 2014, which is when I finished the school. Yeah.
And then, if I'm correct, you were participating to the script station here in Talents?
Yes. So, well, the first thing that we did was to because it's a very personal film, and so the material is very close to me, and we needed feedback. And I wanted to start writing by myself and see if I could do it. So we realized that we really needed to have people giving feedback, and the first step was to apply to this kind of script workshops. So I came, actually, I think that the script, we did many. So you have to choose and pick, not too many, but it's still very good. The script session was the first that done, yeah, right? It was the first one? Yes. So I had already a draft of the script, and we had some sessions with the script editors here, and it was like super important, you know, like it's like they gave us feedback, and then it gives you material and ideas to keep rewriting whenever you're a bit like stuck, you know, so it was very good.
And how many drafts you did to arrive to the final?
I never put numbers in the drafts because it's very depressing, so I just put dates, you know. I did, I think I don't know when you say it's done, you know, like we did many, and at the end we shoot with something that obviously transforms as well, you know. So I would say that it took me like 1.5 years more or less to write the script, because I started in summer 2014, and in winter 2015 we knew that we were going to do the film, and we were already starting with the casting, and so I was not writing really, but still there was some things that I changed until the day before the shooting, you know. So yes, I think that you always keep rewriting, and once you find the location and suddenly you have another idea, or once you have the actors, so that's how I work.
And during this time, Valérie, how you communicate the project, how you start the promotion for the business and for the possible financial?
We tried to communicate that it was a drama, but it was also very colorful. It was summer. It was with kids. We tried to communicate emotion, and we tried to communicate light. We agreed that with Carla, and that's, then she came with all the pictures she had from her childhood, and it was very useful to show to the people what we were talking about. Even more for people from outside of Spain, because then they could just have the idea of the mood and of the atmosphere because when you're from Spain you can imagine it, but outside of Spain it's not always easy. So it was very useful also for the team when we were preparing the film. It was very useful just to give them some inputs about what Carla was looking for. So yes, we also moved the film thinking about the first feature, and we really tried to keep the essence, the original part of the film, that it was made in a certain part of Spain, talking in Catalan. So it was but trying to show that it was something that people outside of Catalonia in Spain could understand also. And so what we did is go first to Berlinale script station. We did a lot of script workshop, also with markets. Then we met Jeanne very early, first in Holland, and then we met back here in Berlin. I would say that we have a long story with Berlinale and with Berlin Talent, because it was almost it's fourth time we are here together. So it's kind of not fourth altogether, but Carla, it's your fourth and it's the third. So yeah, and we went through the markets trying to look for awareness about the project. And when we met Jen in Holland, he was interested in, and then I would say we would close the agreement in Berlin. So 1 year after script station.
Because we also came for the talent market. So
Yeah.
Valérie did the talent
Yes.
that year. So we came like 3 years in a
Yes.
row, and now it's the fourth.
Yes.
Yes.
And so Jan, you jumped in the film when the film was not shot. So how were you convinced? What was the trigger?
It's interesting because, hello. We are like a boutique company that works mostly with first and second time filmmakers. So we work with a lot of, let's say, discoveries and trying to be kind of edgy, and probably we can afford to risk a little more in terms of the choices that we make. And it's my company, so nobody tells me what to do. There's no investor behind it, so if we want to lose money, we can lose money. It's fine.
Everybody can, I guess.
And it's good to lose money in good company. That's what I always say. So the thing was that I went to Utrecht for the market, for the Holland Film Meetings, which, it's important. It's very rare in general that with the first-time filmmaker, debut film, a sales agent would get involved on the script stage, because usually you want to, unless the shorts were massively successful, or maybe if you're French, it's different because the French market is very competitive and there is not much young talent there that's really buzzing. But there is a lot of competition with among sales agents. And also us as a company, until then, let's say we pick up 5-6 films a year. Until then, there was not a single film in our. We've been around, let's say, working with features for maybe 6 years by now. We have never picked up a film on script. We always watched a rough cut or a finished film, and the whole catalog was made of films like this. And this was the first film I picked up on script ever. And I also already in the pitch I liked, because you go to a co-production market, and co-production markets are important because it's a quality stamp for your project. So someone that I know and I trust vouches for your project that it's interesting. So rather than reading 200 scripts, you go there and there's 15 projects which have been selected, and you want to meet 5, and you fall in love with a couple. And that was the case. So already going there, I knew that there's going to be interesting stuff. And only from the synopsis, what the film is about, and the fact that it's happening in the summer in Spain, made me think of like Spirit of the Beehive, the Victor Erice films, the kind of films I liked. I saw the light. I saw in my mind what kind of images these could be, and I also kind of knew that I think I would have an idea how to promote this. And then I met you. We had a nice conversation, and there was a chemistry. And I think it's really important that you like the people that you work with, because last year I called you more often than my mother. Yes, note to self. So it's like it's important, and. Yeah, and also for you it was important to have someone involved early on, I think.
It was important because when we were talking, we thought and we knew the festival run would be very important for the film. So it was important to have someone on board who would be able to help us to decide, to support, and also to, if something would happen, to be there to deal with all the possibilities. And we decided to work with Jeanne. It's always has been a conversation between Carla, the co-producer, Maria, and I. And we decided to do it because we thought he had the right editorial line, and it was not too busy, not too many films. He would care about the film, he would care about us, and it would be, for me, it was very important to have him on board before, also for the editing, to be able to see which film we would have, and which film he could move, he could sail. So, yes.
It was actually very like Jan told us, it's the first film that I picked by the script, and I thought he's never going to do it again.
It's a big responsibility.
Yes, but then it's true that because he came to Barcelona and we had a couple of days just talking about the editing, and you can either take it or not, but he gave us really good feedback. Because the thing is that when you are making a film, you have no idea about what you have. You know, it's like you are so much but even for both of us, you are so much into the process that it's hard to say. Like when we presented here, I had no idea what would be the reaction of the audience. You know, so it's good to have like a bit of outside point of view and talk in that terms, you know. It's true that when you are editing and someone says, if you put this, maybe it won't be a film for little kids, or if you take out this scene, but it's good to know it before you actually close it, and it's too late.
To have a sort of external eye that can watch from a little bit more far away what you're doing.
I think it's nice for us to come in late into the project and give this some energy, because everybody's so tired. It's like I always say, you run a marathon and we come for the last 100 meters to push you over the finish line. And it's true, you know, because you are so immersed in your film, and you know, it's everything, you know. You had the set and it was stressful, and maybe somebody was pissed off with someone else, and you're thinking about it, and everything is together, you know. And you remember this first version, and there was one scene which you liked, and you had to take it out, and you know, and it was 2 years ago, and you're still thinking about it, and suddenly we come over and say, listen, I don't understand this and this, and I don't understand why this works, and what do you want to say? And it was really interesting. For me, it was interesting that also because we didn't know each other well, so I felt, you know. You can fly to Barcelona for like 100 euros. It's pretty easy. And I felt like if I just send a list of comments in an email, Carla's going to freak out because it's your first film. And she's going to say, who's this asshole from Poland? You know, what do they know about films? And he's only thinking about the money because he's a sales agent. And it was important for me to come and in person, you know. I think first we didn't, like in the first day we just went for dinner and we talked, and we didn't talk about the film. We just wanted to get to know each other and talk about films, and I wanted to show that when she says something, I understand what she's talking about. You know, when I say something, that she knows that it's coming from within the context of art house films, and not why is it not Transformers, you know. It was important, and it was a nice thing, I think. And then when we sat down in the editing room for like 6 hours, I think, we watched the film kept pausing it and saying like, okay, what was this? It was cool, you know. It was like a nice conversation. It was like a situation of trust, you know. It was more like talking to a friend, I hope, and then like a guy in a suit, you know.
It's hard because it's always a hard process, but it's nice to be with someone, you know, it's part of the team. So everything Jeanne was telling us, it was to do a better film. So.
Yeah, the important thing is that as a director, it's like he just told us, like they were suggestions, you know, so you don't have to do that. You are still free to do whatever you want, but just you have to know that from the market's point of view, if you leave this scene, it may mean this, or, you know, so it just, to have this point of view, then obviously you should be free to do whatever you want.
I mean, 99% was them. I'm not taking any credit for the edit. But of course, it's like I always say, you can do the film like this. It's like, it's your film and it's your choice. But it's possible that if you do it like this, 1,000 people will see it. And if you do it like this, 100,000 people will see it. It's up to you. But don't be frustrated.
No pressure at all.
Yeah, but don't be, I just think, you know, if you really need a scene with, you know, a guy showing his dick for 5 minutes in front of the camera, fine, that's your film. But please don't complain that I haven't sold it to China, you know. And don't call me like, why isn't China not sold, you know? Because they don't like having a dick in their face for 5 minutes, you know. But sometimes you have to say these things. In the end of the day, it's your choice. But you just have to be aware of the consequences of certain things in your film, right? I mean, and it's fair.
Yeah, in a way, I think this is very useful also, because when you say this is the point of view of the market, but which market? I think this is very important to have one person that really know what are the potential of the film, and what is the people they are talking about, and how. I mean, someone that can really see the spectator. Imagine the spectator that is going to be in front of your film, and not giving you advices for a wrong market, because there is not only one market out there. There are.
I think it was really good that you had Maria on board, who is a Spanish distributor, and she was also, I think, in the process throughout the thing. So I think you've already avoided many mistakes along the way. That was also, I think, quite interesting.
You mean about communication? About
Yes, also you had a couple of good photos from the set, for example, which quite often I don't have any material. Like, for example, when I came to the office and we went through some of the photos and we were thinking about posters, it was like obvious, like this is the photo that makes total sense.
I think Carla is as a
That's my opinion. No, but I was going to say the difficult thing about our film is that is it for children or it's for adults? And this was like the main thing that we were discussing all the time when it came to how to position the film, because also it was picked for generation here. So it's not a film for kids. We knew that, but kids can watch it.
But kids can watch it, yes, absolutely.
But then we had to find a way to communicate.
But it was for
Some
adults.
kids can watch it.
Well, it depends on the market, of course. But in Spain, we mainly focus for adults. What we wanted to do is to promote the film as an adult European film awarded. It was the point.
Yeah, maybe just for you to, the film has a long story with Berlinale, as we were saying. So in 2015, it was in the script station, 2016 was in the market station, and 2017, it did its world premiere in Berlinale in Generation 14 Plus, and he won the Crystal Bear, and he won also the best debut film in Berlinale. So I think this is the best. I mean, you got it all. It was jackpot.
Yes.
I think maybe I can say a few words about this.
This was important.
Because it wasn't an obvious choice. Because I think what Carla is talking about when she says it's not a film for children is that a children's film is a bit of a dirty word in the market. And I think you associate it with like Dutch TV films for children. Or German, there's a whole group of people. I think what's interesting in the generation is they are very open to films that are not classical children's films. And you can have a film about children which is absolutely not suitable for kids, but I think this was an interesting, and also that's why we were interested in the film, is that it has a cinematic quality and it talks about issues that absolutely an adult can relate to, but also a child can understand. But it doesn't have bright colors and funky music and which are usually unwatchable, those films.
Yeah, but the idea was that kids could go to the movie with adults, but it was not that adults would go with kids. I mean, the target was adults, but they can go with kids.
Yeah. And you said it was a difficult choice because of the selection in Generation.
And we it was a bit of a controversial thing.
You can say.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a camera there, but otherwise it's off the record. So, no, but of course we showed it also to other festivals, some French festivals as well.
By the beach, maybe?
Yeah,
there's
later
one
on.
at the beach with the one long street. But they liked it, but it was really too early to decide, and the deadlines were approaching, and I think we sat down, and what was important for me is that because I was in the jury at the Generation in 2013, so I kind of had a good understanding of what kind of films are playing there, and I felt like this film will really stand out compared to the classical children's films. And there are two juries in the Generation. There is the kids jury and there is the professional jury, and I felt like if I was in the jury and I was watch, exactly Australian, Dutch, German, French classical children's films, and suddenly I would see this, I would be like, oh my God, this is a different galaxy of filmmaking. So we felt like at least we can win something if we go there. If we go to another section, that we will maybe get lost. I just felt like it's better to be the best out of Generation than somewhere in the middle in another section, another festival maybe. So that's why we wanted to stand out.
Carla and I, we were really convinced about Berlinale, and but then we had this conversation with Jan and also with the co-producer. Some of them were thinking about the French festival, and but we were like, but it's okay, and it would have been nice. But that's what I thought also. I mean, it's better to come here because we think this is a place for the film, and it's better to come here because maybe we can have something that the film will be reminded instead of lost in the mass of other films. And but what really made me feel okay with this decision is when Jan told me we could participate to the cross.
The first feature.
Yeah, that was
award.
a point which made for me it was okay. Then we can play, but not because I was sure at any moment I was not sure we could win. It gives you an opportunity. Exactly, but you have the opportunity instead of because when we arrived at Berlinale last year, all the Spanish press was just thinking generation. This is not good. And we had to fight again that to tell why. I mean, this is a place for the film in Berlinale. This is generation.
That's the thing that like if a festival has a section that it's about films that talk about kids and it's like it's normal that we go there. It's totally normal. And I think that it's a really good section and you can discover lots of interesting films. I didn't feel like we it may sound like we went there because we thought we could win, but it's not like that. We did well. You did. I didn't. We had no idea about the film we had. So, but yeah, the thing is that it made sense, and I like when they called us and they said, yeah, you're invited to Berlinale in Generation. I was so happy. Like it's already also for our history here, but just because it's a great festival. So yeah, but it's true that like as a director, I didn't leave this anxiety about the French festival and all that. Like they kind of kept me. So I kind of knew it after actually, yeah. Because we were actually editing, so we were very busy finishing the film, and I think that it was good because. I was always happy about this, about being here.
For you, it's a good thing or a bad thing with the Generation as a distributor?
Yeah, you did discover the film during the festival or later on?
No, actually not. With this film, it was really like by accident. So that I have a lot of friends in Barcelona who are doing also films, and it was really like in kind of a Facebook bubble I'm in. So, and I heard about this film because of a friend of mine there talking about this. Then I asked for a screener, and I was really touched and overwhelmed by this film. I really think it's a really great film. And then we discussed it in the company. So our company is quite small. So was founded 5 years ago, and this is the hottest art house film we are doing. So we are more in the hardcore art house section. So we are started with Love Diaz and going like this more. And then it was like the problem that we sold directly before this. We bought 2 films, and then we thought, okay, we have no space, we have to wait, and so I told Katarzyna, so that's not possible right now. And then luckily she came back and told me we are still looking for a German distributor, and in this moment it happened. So what I wanted to say is that for me this is for me a classical way that often you need like 2, 3, 4 times that something happens. So so I started as well as a filmmaker before. So, and I was always wondering, not always, but so it happened a lot that you try something, you push something, and nothing happens. So, and if you don't continue with asking, with working on it, so, and this, now I'm like on the other, like on the other side, so, and I'm seeing like if somebody's only asking me one time if I can distribute the film, then it could happen, but normally it needs like more. This is what I want to share is one part. So, but this, so it happened like this. So normally I watch the films, or I discovered a lot not at the Berlinale actually, because Berlinale is more business, so I don't see a lot of current films during the Berlinale. But in this case it was different, like I said. But I wanted to add with the press that this can also happen in one of the French festivals if you're not in the main competition, that like nobody's talking about it. So, and
Especially the
Yes.
national press sometimes, right?
Yes, but because there is not so many Spanish films in festivals as French or festivals. So that's, I mean, we could have been the one, but if you don't succeed in something, then you're just lost in their mind. I mean,
And there's no guarantee you're going to get selected either, you know. I mean, that's sometimes, you know, there are cases, I mean, you have to take a choice at some point, you know, with everything. And if we said no here and then Cannes would reject us as well. Sorry, did I say Cannes?
Oh.
And then maybe you would end up nowhere in the end, or, you know. But for us, again, having Maria and this conversation that, you know, there's a Spanish National Festival in Malaga, which is in April or March, and we wanted, the girls, the producers, sorry, this is inappropriate, my business partners,
I'm going to call your mom.
My female business partners from Spain also felt that it was potentially sexy for them to be
Yes.
in Malaga, and if we waited for Cannes, we wouldn't do it. And
Yeah,
there was another good Spanish festival, because then we would have to wait for San Sebastian, which is kind of late for cinema release and all that. No?
It was the plan since the beginning. I mean, it's maybe easy to say it later on and now because everything is done, but since the beginning, it was the plan to go to Berlin and then to Malaga, to have international support and then to have press to be covered by the national press. And in Malaga, why? Because I didn't want the film to be so as a Catalonian film. I wanted to be first as European Spanish film awarded. So it was, you know, the process. And San Sebastian, it was late, and it was only San Sebastian. We could have no international release before. So it was good, but not for this film in
That's
particular.
actually 8 months after Berlinale, San Sebastian. Yeah,
Yes, but I
7
would not
months.
have been able to go to San
Yeah, yeah.
Sebastian after Berlin, so I would have to choose only San Sebastian.
Okay.
And it was not good enough for this film. It could be the perfect place for other films, but for this one in particular, we really needed a Berlinale behind.
I would like to show the international trailer. That is the trailer that you use for Berlinale, so that maybe we can talk a little bit how you talk about the film once it was premiered. Yeah.
That was mostly done by Avalon, the Spanish distributor, with our comments on it. I would say when we got the cut, it was probably 75% there, and then we discussed the rest. But we made a brief as well. We made a brief for the poster, we made a brief for the trailer, in a way like using words that we want people to have associations with and stuff like that. So
For example, if we can.
I think it's pretty clear that, you know, so this is the fact that what was interesting is that this is a girl who's taken from one environment and taken into another one. It's told from her perspective. It's more like a memory thing, because the fact that I think on the poster we said a true story not like inspired by a true story, but by a true story by Carla Simón and not true story of Carla Simón. It was kind of the kind of personal perspective was interesting, and the fact that I think the trailer shows it really nicely now that I see it is that it's like a memory. You know, it's like images. It's more about the atmosphere. Yes, it's an atmosphere. There's a feeling of the summer, and the fact that it's happening. It's not a couple of years. It's just one summer, and the pitch was always that. And I think we always spent a lot of time on perfecting the one sentence, what the film was about, and the short synopsis. And I like this part of the sentence that said that they need to learn to love each other and become a family. You know, there was something like this in it. No, so I think it really shows that that it's a new environment, and she's totally an outsider, and she doesn't know how to approach it, and they don't know how to approach it. It's not a problem of the child, it's a problem of Frida, and it's a problem of the new parents, because they don't know how to handle it either, I think it shows that nicely, So it's from both perspectives, it's,
And we used the same in Spain, actually. We didn't change it because it was made by the same team, so... And almost the same with the poster. We had we had conversation previously, but we almost agreed on the same picture. Yeah.
Yeah, but sorry.
You want to show, because we have the Catalan poster, the STO 93, if we can show it? That I guess is the poster you use for all Spain.
Yes.
Yes, but it's not exactly the same
No,
as the
it's
international
not exactly
one.
the same.
Like it's the same, but the colors are very different.
Yeah.
Color, picture.
This is the Spanish. I think I didn't like the way the mother looks at the father.
Why?
And not at the kid.
It looks like a saint, which
Yes,
wasn't exactly my pitch.
I don't.
Yeah, I think but there is a very similar photo
Yes.
that we used, which was I think you notice the kid a bit more and less the mother, in that sense. But I think the father always looks stoned on both of them.
Yeah, she looks like and he looks like so yeah.
So maybe we can see the other poster, because we had another one that is the English poster.
The American.
The American one.
Ah, okay.
But in the European, I would say in the international and the Spanish poster, the idea was to move the film about the family identity and.
Yeah.
And I liked the previous one. I liked as well because there was movement. The colors were great. It's like, and the thing is that you can never say everything about the film in a poster, but it's just make me interested. Make it. It was. I don't say the poster was lying. Like this scene is not in the film. It was just there was a fiesta in the town, and I think they were just dancing, and the photographer was there. It's not in the scene is not in the film,
Yeah,
but
the scene is in the film, but not her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was
exactly not the actual dance, no, or no.
Yeah, she's not on
on the
his
shoulder.
shoulder.
Yeah.
And actually, she was dressed on her normal clothes because she had finished already shooting.
Yes,
So
yeah.
the costume designer is not very happy about this poster.
No.
But it's quite a common practice to use material or scene that doesn't come directly
If
from
you have a
the
good
film
photo,
to
you
the
should
poster.
use it.
We
what I-
decided to the photographer to come this day. We decided like 4 or 5 days, special 5 days with special actions like this fiesta, because it was very representative of all of them together and happy moments.
And it's attractive. You don't want to have a photo of her crying and being a sad, orphan kid. It's not really sellable.
Yeah, but what I learned as a director, because honestly, I would have never done this poster, myself, I think I really wanted to just have something with Laia, with the kid, and only her, and that was my idea of the image that should represent the film. But then that's not my job, so I like that, but this, selling the film is really not my job, so that's why it was important to talk to them, and I just want to know why you chose that, so they said, well, if we want to sell it better, it's better to give this sense of family, and well, they gave me the reason, and I said, okay, so And then the French ones did a poster with the girl and you too. So it's like it depends. It depends on the. It's a very cultural thing as well.
We have the French one actually.
I thought we had them all, but maybe.
No, we do. Sorry, but you gave the German poster.
The yellow one, yeah.
The German poster. It should arrive.
But it's very interesting to, as a director, to see how like each distributor makes their own poster and trailer, and also that you shouldn't get obsessed, because at the end it's like you have to let them do. Yeah, that's you even change the title.
Even change the title.
It's
We're
fine,
the
it's
only
fine.
ones, no?
It's the first time they met.
I like it. I like your title as well. For the distribution, it makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, because also you were lucky because I didn't have time, you know, like I was editing and
We thought about it actually.
with the sound post-production, and I was super busy, and then suddenly I had this email like, look, this is the trailer, and I said, great, you know, like, and even the guy who edited told me like, you didn't give me any comment, and I'm not like that, I give lots of comments, but I just didn't have time because we shot in summer and then we came here with the film, so the editing process was super fast, and I think it was a good lesson to understand in a way that as a director you can give your opinion, but you cannot get crazy because they are not putting the image you want on the poster.
And it's also when we all get involved, it's not your film only anymore. It's our film. You know, everybody has a stake in it. You know, we invest money, we invest time. And I think it's important that we all respect each other. Like, we respect your vision, and we wouldn't be in the film if we didn't love the film or what you're doing. But it's important that, you know, there is a conversation, and the people also. I know that you've worked on this film longer than we did, but it's, you know, it's important that it's our film in a way from now on. You know, when we sign the contract, it's kind of like you have to also let us do our job, because you chose us because you think we can do our job in a way. You know?
Yeah, but for this you have to trust all the partners. And what you explained before, it's really it was really interesting for me, because if you hear this sentence, what you said right now, and you don't know the people or you don't trust them, it's really horrible as a director to hear, now it's also our film. So if it's still your baby. So, but if you trust them and you know, okay, they're also interested in films and not only in just in the market. Of course, that's your job. Now my job.
I would work in a bank.
I think it's really important. So, and I only wanted to underline it.
But it's the same as a director when you suddenly are in a place and you hear, yeah, because my film, Summer 1993, and I'm like, what? And it may be a distributor that just got it, you know, and it's obviously now it's their film, you know, but at the beginning it's like, sorry.
You think it's your film.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we had this conversation also because all the distributors, they kindly send us the proposal of the poster, and we just say, yes, it's great. Oh, yeah, maybe what about that? But I mean, as producer, I can't say anything. They manage on their own territory, and they know their territory.
Exactly. I mean, what do I know about Korean audiences? You know.
You know everything about Korean audiences.
No, but I'm waiting for the Japanese, because the Japanese is always cool. It's always a good poster.
To get a little bit specific, how many territories you sold the film? If you
probably 20, 25 countries.
So
I think
amazing score.
In Europe we had 15 to 20 territories, and it also, for example, it's things you don't think about, and definitely not you as filmmakers, I think, is that, for example, this film is also great for airlines. So lots of planes, it's on a lot of planes.
I saw it in the plane.
Yes.
My mom did also.
Exactly. Your mom did, you see.
Yeah.
And it's because it's a soft film. There is no sex or violence or anything. So suddenly these things, little things, they matter because it opens certain things, and it's all about I'm not saying all the films have to be safe, but if your film is within that world anyway, it's good to think about it. And for example, the film was in Catalan, and then you did a Spanish dub with the original actors, which I think is very, very fascinating, that they were dubbing themselves into Spanish.
Including the kids.
Including the kids, which is great. But for example, the fact that there suddenly was a Spanish dub, it made it possible for us to sell it to another 15 airlines or something, because Spanish is a popular language in the world, and as a Catalan film, it wasn't attractive, but as a Spanish language film, suddenly we made extra, 30,000 euros or something from airlines.
And still, how was the reaction of the market after the Bear? How much discount on the...
The thing is, the festival selection is really to give you a spotlight. It doesn't mean that much. Of course, if you're in competition, I really think it's more of a spotlight for the industry. And afterwards, my mom wouldn't care if the film was in Berlin. She wouldn't know the difference between generation and competition in Berlin, to be honest. But the film either works or it doesn't work. I think the distributors that we attracted, they were not expecting to discover this film, but pretty quickly we realized that I actually thought it was going to be more of a festival film, and it would have been fine for us. I think we had this conversation, and then when I went to the premiere, and I cried at the premiere, and I was really like, I'm super cynical about films.
I cried as well.
Oh my God, this is beautiful, So, and I really saw, and I looked at the women around me, like mostly like mothers, and they were all like, I'm like, it made German women cry. This film is amazing.
Yeah, I think you realize in Berlin the
there
capacity
is something
of the film.
more there, because it's also like we watched it on the computer, then
yes, but remember, you told me that please send a DVD. That should not see that film on a computer. So just make a tricky thing to send a DVD, then they can see the last version on a
Blu-ray.
big screen.
A Blu-ray,
a Blu-ray. Yeah, and we did that also because we knew it was important for the
selection. And then I think the distributors went for it because they really loved it, and they felt like this works for my market, and and suddenly, and it's also like the way it works in the market goes from like Wednesday to Wednesday, let's say. And at first, people mostly watch competition and things, and then they realize, it's actually maybe not that strong, and I haven't found that many films, or maybe I lost some bids. And suddenly they come back to you on Monday and like, hey, that film kind of sounded interesting. Can I have a look? And so we usually book also like market screenings on Monday, Tuesday. And I think most of the buyers that bought the film from me were Monday, Tuesday. So at the end of the market, when they already have like some big film, they have a couple of spaces for something which is from the heart,
You made another screening, actually.
Yeah, and we made an extra screening because we realized that, oh my God, something's happening, and we booked for the next day. We made an extra screening, and people came, and we made then we made a big French sale to a big distributor, and that got people interested. And
who is
Pyramid.
the French? Pyramid. Oh, okay.
So proper company, and it wasn't like a no-name thing. And I think in Berlin we sold maybe 10 territories, and then we kept working afterwards. And
I would say that there are only almost maybe 5 or 7 Spanish movies released worldwide on theaters, not on channels, but on theaters. I would say no more than 5 or 7 this last year. So it was very important.
I would like to show the American trailer because it's different, and I think we can talk about in terms of strategies of how you address different kind of nations. United States, and I would like now to watch the French one to see like very few differences.
Ai, és la nena de la germana de l'Esteve? Sí, pobreta.
Ara és la meva germana.
Maria, vamos.
Maria, prou.
Com es va morir la meva mama de gans?
Deixa'm!
La teva mare tenia un virus. Estàs molt sana, Frida, no et cal ni anar al metge.
Nenes, porteu-me un enciam. Allà a l'hort.
Allò no és un enciam.
So, Jan, what did you tell to Americans?
Huh?
What did you tell to United States
I love
people?
it. You need to have the guts to do this. I would never have the guts to do that. But it's funny because it is an art house label. It's not, I mean, just because they're American doesn't mean they're stupid. You know, they really have really hardcore films. The Oscilloscope, they are an art house label. So I was actually, it's funny. I think they want to go slightly bigger with the film, and I think they identify the audience as kind of mothers. Whereas usually they have a lot of like edgy films and for film buffs. So they would take like weird Estonian black and white films that are shot like this, you know. And it's a different audience. They would have a trailer for this, which is edgy, and this is obviously trying to reach a kind of older audience.
But here, I gave the comment. I said, okay, but the second music, really? And and they said, yeah, well, we've played it here and we show it to people and it's really working well. And
it's working, yes.
Yes, okay.
I mean
I just think, you know, it's really clear in the first half that it's some Spanish film which won shitloads of awards. You get all these, you know, and this is basically what you're dealing with. You know, people don't know where, people in the States, they don't know where Catalonia is, or some, you know, it's like they know Messi maybe, but that's not even a sport for them, football. You know, so you need to find things that are relatable for a certain culture, and I think, you know, we'll see. The film, we actually had a problem with the release because in the US, it's important you open in New York first, and there's only a couple of really strong cinemas there, and one of the strongest cinemas closed down last month, and like 2 weeks before our release, they just said, no, you know, nobody knew, and they said, okay, they probably will be sold because property is really expensive. It was a Lincoln Plaza. And we were supposed to open there, and they only managed to book a new venue, which is a good venue, I think in May. And thankfully, so we would have had the results by now to tell you if this trailer worked, but we'll have to wait and see, so we don't know.
And France said the release was...
The French release was good. I think they got 40,000 admissions, and I think they were happy with it. Especially that a lot of films really flopped.
But it's interesting how, like in France, if it doesn't say Cannes,
they managed to put the French festival on the. Yeah.
Well, because we went to, it was in a parallel section.
We went to Cannes finally, but 1 year later. Oh no,
no,
1 year
like
later.
in May, but it's a parallel section that it's films for young people, and it's actually there is a young jury, so that's why we won this prize.
And it's outside of Cannes.
Yeah.
It's not.
But it goes before.
It's in Cannes. It's in Cannes.
Yes. Yes, it's like yeah.
But they
before
always
Berlin. I mean, it's Cannes first.
First Cannes. It's a really small thing, you know. But yeah, for them it's how it works, you know. Like people see that and they put it everywhere, also in the posters and all that. So yeah.
But like the idea of these two trailers is not that different, or? I mean, so it's like the music is much over the top by the US trailer, but like from the idea of playing with sadness and then happiness and a happy end with the beginning of the film, it's like the structure is quite the same idea, no?
The same also in the Spanish and international, because it's also two parts actually, except for the last picture, but it's not exactly the same structure.
Of course, it's the film, so yeah.
I think the French one puts more in advance the family confrontation in a way, because this is we see first, and then we relax in a way, and the rest arrive. But in the American, it's true that there is a construction of the pathos and the need to create a tension, a dramatic tension. That is
I kind of understand that in the French one, they want to show that it's for adults, because adults is Arthouse. Like there is an Arthouse adult audience in France, whereas in the States it's mostly older people, I think, that still go to the cinema. And in many countries, actually, that's the case. Mostly women, 50 plus.
In Italy too.
The main audience. And I think they want to have this, oh my God, she's so cute. What a cute girl, let's get to know her story. I suppose that's the idea. Yeah.
Maybe we can, before we make some question, we can see the German trailer.
Ooh,
the scene.
It's a premiere. Surprise!
But it's not so far from the international. Huh? No, it's not dubbed already.
Are you gonna dub it?
We're gonna dub it, yeah.
It's nice you kept the good music, thank you.
Nice, I like it too.
Yeah, it's closer to the international, I would say. So.
If there are questions, one up there.
Yeah, and I wanted to unpack the reasons why you came on at script stage on this particular project, because I'm assuming you didn't do pre-sales. So why come on at script stage rather than waiting for a first cut in this particular case?
I understood it was important for you, and also I think, to be honest, what made me the pressure from my side was also partly because Avalon was involved, and I know that they're a strong distributor in Spain, and we never worked with them, and I kind of wanted to have a relationship with them. So because I didn't know you, we didn't have a relationship, and I kind of felt like, it would be good to. This kind of made my decision quicker in a way. From this perspective, it's funny to say that, but that was actually, at that moment, I was thinking, okay, there is pressure from them. They would like to, I like this project a lot. And this was like this last drop of the decision-making process for me. But the fact that we got involved on script doesn't mean that we, co-financed. We didn't, I don't think that we had an MG, I can't remember. But
no.
It was, no.
We decided to have no MG, to have clearest agreement on incomes. Yeah.
Exactly. But the way we work is we have a corridor for the producers from the beginning, and so it was obvious that they're going to make money, but it was a risky thing, so we didn't co-finance.
No, you said that because there were all others sales agents interested after Berlin, when we met in Berlin later, and you say, I would prefer to give you an MG instead of working, instead if you don't work with this and this and that. So yeah, it was kind of, you wanted the film. You knew Avalon was there and not on HFM. I think the first time we met, Avalon was not there. Yeah.
No, but I remember that later on we had the Skype sessions, and it was in the package in a way,
And I'm interested, did it help with the financing at all, having New World on board, or did it?
The film was financed before we got involved. It was not shot.
At the same time. Yeah. I mean, we were on the process, but
I don't know. Did it help you for any funds, or
Sorry?
did I give you? But I gave you a letter of intent, maybe for the fund, or I can't remember.
Yes, I guess so, but it was not really necessary.
Yeah.
Yes. No. Yes, we were already financed. We missed money, but we were financed. And that's why we also decided to work with him instead of just going for a short MG from other company. It would not have changed anything on the financing plan, so it was not something we take in account for this decision.
Yes, this is to throw, and maybe you can, yeah.
We're old.
Okay.
We'll see it again.
Concerning publicity and promotion, did I understand correctly that once the film is sold to distributors, the distributors have 100% control over how they're going to create their trailers and advertise the film? Or is there participation in legally with the producer, with the filmmaker, and so on?
This is on a case-by-case basis. Depending if it's important for us or not. I think in general we're dealing with art house films. We know that the buyers that we work with, and they are we choose similarly minded people in general. I never had a situation where someone would totally distort the vision of the director in the marketing. So we're dealing with art house distributors who don't pay you $1 million for the film. I think it's always a conversation. If we had a massive issue with the trailer or any materials, we would have addressed it, and I think they would have listened. But we're kind of playing business here. It's not massive. It's really relaxed in that sense. If something looks really bad, then we would have interfered.
And when we had several proposals from the same territory, we discussed. We have been talking about it, which one is better, depending on what the distributor did previously and how he was planning to treat the film and the release and so on.
Yeah, so it was always choosing the right company for the right project, based on the whole company culture in that sense. We wanted the culture to be similar to our culture, the way we work, Yeah.
But it is really a conversation. Like I remember when they said the American trailer, I was super busy and I saw it and I said I didn't answer for some days, but Dan, who is the distributor, he kept asking, until I said, look, the second music maybe, and then he said, yeah, we try, and I said, okay, So it's not. I don't think they would have just gone ahead without consulting us before, as I also received the poster. So it's just a nice.
They're proud
way
of the
doing
film. They're proud of the film. They want to share it, and in that sense.
So most of the trailers, especially the international one, makes an emphasis on how this is a true story. Why do you feel it was important to market it that way?
On markets, you mean once the film was made?
Yeah, to sell it that way in terms of because on the international trailer, it's a true story by Carla Simón.
I think most films are true stories based on the director's experiences, but they don't admit it.
Yeah.
And we just felt let's be open about it, because it made it. I felt it made it stronger, and it was such a personal film. For example, that's why if you notice it was important for us, for example, on the poster that the font is handwritten.
Yeah.
And everybody followed it as well, It was either paintbrush or a pen or something, that the fact that it's a signature, this is my life, kind of. It's like a letter, I kind of felt it was more like a diary. The film is like a diary. Also in the construction, if you saw the film, that's... No?
Yeah, also because on festivals, not maybe for theater release, but for festivals, as far as you move the films, and Carla will be with the film, it was important to also to see that it wasn't a happy end, because Carla was here, she was a kid, she could deal with it, and it was she had. It was kind of give her authority on the story about talking about kids facing death also.
Yeah, I have to admit that when I saw it on the trailer the first time, I was like, wow, you know, like we've been selling the project all this, like up until now, but it was a bit shocking. But still, we decided that we wouldn't hide this, you know, and I would say it openly in the interviews and all that. We had a conversation about that. So how far do we go with that? And because we had been telling the motivation of the project or why we want to make this film in all these labs and markets, it would be weird suddenly saying, you know, like now it's not my story. It's all totally fiction. So we just say, okay, let's go all the way, you know. And but yeah, it is. But you know, there are many people who watch the film and they don't know that it's a true story. They just know it at the end when you have the "To My Mom" thing, and then they relate it. But so it's okay if you see it, knowing it or not. I think.
Absolutely. I don't think it's important. I mean, I think it makes something if you read it in the end. So it's. But it's interesting that it's very well working for like that. I heard a lot of people, not especially with this film, but they are telling me, did you see this film? It's based on a true story, and so it's all, so. I mean, sometimes it feels a little bit stupid, also, but if it's like this, it makes no sense just to hide it. So for this, it's one way also to point it out that's a part of this project. So.
Hello. With the success of this film, is it going to be easier for you, you think, to make your next film? I'm just wondering, what do you have up next? And as a producer, same thing. Is it going to be easier to make your next project?
It's in terms of like financing or?
Exactly.
Yes. I hope this won't be so difficult. But you never know. You never know in Spain what can happen. You know, it's really like they look at the project, and but yeah, I hope it won't be difficult. But what is difficult is like when you have, as a director, a film that goes very well. Sit down and write something else. You know, it just you feel the pressure and all that. But yeah, what do you think?
I think it's not going to be that hard for you to finance your next project, but I think it was neither hard to finance this one. So we're not coming from a hard process, but I think it's going to be, I think people will trust you on your script. And but I think actually when we were thinking about that last time, people, they were really crazy. They thought we could do this film with 2 kids, with no experience from Carla, few experience for me as a producer. I mean, when you think about it, it's like, wow, they really did believe the script. Because it was, I mean...
And also it's my story, like this really,
exactly.
That's why it was very important to tell.
It was important to tell, because then she knew what she was talking about. But yes, I think it's going to be easier for Carla to finance her next project, I'm sure. And not only in Spain, but also abroad, which is important, which was also the point about the process of this film. It was to place Carla on international level, not only at home. And in my case, yes, I believe it just opened new doors, but I have to do my job. I mean, and I have to bring good projects for them. But yes, of course, I know more people, and more people know me. Yeah.
I mean, I think it was interesting when Spain was deciding who the Oscar candidate is going to be, and it was this huge historical film, new film from the guy who was very successful with his previous film, and us. And if someone told you that a year before, you'd be like, yeah, right, like this would never happen. But it's just, I think you are in totally different space. Also in Spain, on the market, like people know you, and it was a success.
Yeah, we discovered that we had a fan base. Yeah, and yeah, it's true. I mean, we discovered that, and that actually it was, I mean, the process on theater in Spain was strange because we knew we could have audience, and we knew we had a kind of fan base, okay, through all those months going to festivals and blah, blah, blah. So the film did very good first weekend, and then it just went a little bit down, but my hope was to be a good, very good sleeper. And we went just like, look, I said, oh, fuck. So we are not a sleeper, we are fan-based. I mean, we have big Arthouse, big first weekend. But then became a sleeper. So we had kind of both in a strange place because we had Arthouse, which is not neither sleeper or fan base. But yes, we had this this process in Spain, and in France it was really more Arthouse, normal process.
Well, they said that it was also for them.
Yes.
They had it quite long.
Yes.
So, like, obviously they did less that because in Spain it was crazy. Like, we never thought that we could do that. And
no.
also
160?
And 70 now, yeah.
7 weeks? How many weeks?
And like now it's since the 30th of June, and it never stopped being in the
cinema. It never stopped.
8 months?
We came back to
7
theater
months.
2 weeks
of
later.
Exploitation.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago we came back with 50 copies.
Because the thing is that no, but in timing, it's interesting because it was released in summer, and then so in June, yeah, and then in September we were chosen for the Oscar entry, and then what else happened? Like, okay, then after this was when we released the film also dubbed, so a lot of like many other theaters could have the film because some of them don't want subtitles, so that's how it works, and then. At some point, it was just like going down, 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 and then suddenly we had all the nominations for the Goya and all the Spanish award season, and then it just came again, and then after the Goyas, we had I think it's
50.
I think maybe we started like that, but now I think it's
we are not. I mean, no, 20, I think.
No, I'm saying after the Goyas, because Enrique told me the other day that we were about 35. We had about 35 now. Like
exactly.
This,
Just after the Goya, it was 50, and 1 week later, it was 35.
Anyways, it's 8 months in cinemas. That's
a non-stop.
That's the conclusion.
Yes.
Let's not get into numbers. I mean.
No, but it's I mean, the awards and Oscars campaign, blah blah blah. It all help us to grow and to keep until now in theaters.
There is one question here. If you managed to.
Well, thank you so much for your wonderful talks. I enjoyed it very much, and I love the film so much. Can I ask you 2 questions? The first one is, you mentioned about Korea and Japan, right? Can I ask what is your future strategy to distribute it in Asia? You also mentioned about China. You said Chinese audience don't like some kind of things. But can I ask, what do you think Chinese audience like? This is, and also what Korea and Japanese audience they like?
Half of the world's population have those things. that the Chinese don't like. It's obviously it's weird. Every country is different. There's no rule. For example, it's funny because it's not me who's handling Asia. It's my colleague Katarzyna. So quite often she comes to me and she says, I had the weirdest conversation just now with some kind of, some Korean lady or some Japanese lady. And for example, like in Korea, quite often we get this, that it needs to be about beautiful people. If there's no beautiful people, it's going to be tough.
Like beautiful in terms of
physicality.
Okay.
And obviously it's not something that we think about when we pick up a film or when you write a script. It's I think that the kind of again, there are different distributors. There's no rule. There are different distributors for genre films, for family entertainment, for art house films. It's interesting that a lot of for example, it was very for me it was very cool to work with you because I don't know many young German distributors. Most German distributors or theater owners are old men, and I'm really happy that you exist because that means that maybe there's a future in the business, and I will have someone to work with in 5 years' time, because I'm serious, because I know young producers, I know young directors, I know young sales agents, I don't know many young exhibitors, and I don't know, and there's probably 50-50 with distributors, especially in certain countries, so it's also like could be a gender thing, could be an age thing as well, in terms of what people are looking for. And of course there's censorship. In China there's another thing which is censorship, so certain political things, or for example we had a great Israeli film which was absolutely not political. It was a social drama, very beautiful father-son story, and we had an offer from China, and in the end they came back to us. They said they cannot release a film from Israel because it's from Israel, and doesn't matter what the film is about, Same, I had a nice Iranian film and I couldn't sell it to Israel, or if there's sometimes all the films that we sell to China, they have to go through censorship. Yeah, but it's funny also. Asian people they react a little slower than the Europeans. So, for example, we would be able to show the film to a lot of Europeans in Berlin, and we kind of knew, okay, 80% of the people that we wanted to show it to, they've seen it, and they either said yes or no. And then, for example, we didn't have any offers from China. We sold it later, I think in Cannes. And then, now, every week we get an email from some distributor from China that we never heard of, again a new company, that is asking about Summer '93. I don't know, there must be something now somewhere in China that there's a rumor that this film is good, and they keep asking us if it's available, so it's a timing issue as well, they wouldn't reply to your emails for 3 months and then suddenly, 15 people would call you on the same day. It's a mystery to me as well,
Also because they had two big success of Spanish movie in China. Last month, so maybe it's kind of call about Spanish movies.
Another question here? Yeah, very fast. You were evoking the age structure of distributors, and evoked also the gender thing with old men. I was just thinking, especially in light of the debate we have now with more women being more visible and etc. Can you tell us something like an approximate percentage on how many women are actually in the distribution business? And how do you think that you have to address distributors then differently because they are women, or you make no difference for that?
Careful. First I want to say that by accident, we've become a label which works a lot with female directors. like I had a short film from the US that we pitched for. We made an offer, and the director, came back to us and said, you know what, the other guys are paying more money, but I want to work with you because I went through your catalog and I counted that 58% of your directors are female, And I'm like, really? For us, it's good films, and it's about people and certain stories. But it's true, and probably 85% of producers are women as well that we work with. In terms of distributors, it's a mix. I mean, quite often the guy is the owner, and then there are really brilliant women working for acquisitions. Most of the acquisition people are women. Lots of really skilled and knowledgeable women that we work with. In Asia, there's a lot of young. That's also interesting. I think it's also the language thing, which is useful. That there's a lot of younger, quite often women, doing acquisitions. Quite often, acquisition is the entry-level job in a distribution company or a TV station or something like that. So, quite often, you're an intern. Then the first job you would get is maybe acquisitions, and then maybe you would move to. Also, in the sales companies, most acquisition people are women, or younger people, let's say, also, because this is like the entry-level job. But otherwise, there is no rule. I kind of but at the same time, like we know that for Arthouse, statistically, women, especially let's say 50 plus, are the main audience in many countries. So quite often if I acquire a film, I'm thinking, would a 50-year-old Belgian woman understand this film and enjoy this film before I make an offer? Because that's an easy target to target, basically. So if there's basically a film that I like and my mother likes, that's a hit. And there's probably, I might have like 2 films like that out of my whole catalog. Most films, she thinks are very weird. Even Rams, which was a big hit for us, my mom thought I thought it was super funny, she thought it was super sad.
Thank you.
Yeah. The very back.
I'm sorry, just one.
Oh, you had the second question?
Yeah, very quick question. You mentioned about you cooperating with the Korea and Japanese distributor. Can I ask what's their name? What's their name?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's not.
No worries.
No, it's my colleague who's handling this.
No
I don't
worries.
know
I
the
just
name.
ask. Okay.
Okay, I think we are running up with the time, but we have one maybe last question that is waving, and I didn't saw from before. Good luck throwing that.
At the very back.
Up there.
Right, last row.
Maybe it's up there. Maybe you can do in 2 steps.
I do.
Here's it.
So first of all, to say sorry if I get really nervous, because I always get really nervous when I talk in public. Then I want to ask something to Carla, and it's how was the working process with Laia Artigas, the small kid, the protagonist? And how did you manage to make her understand and interiorize how your childhood was, your own experiences? How you made that with a small kid? And the second question was if you can tell us something about your next project. What do you have in mind? And finally, agrair-te molt la pel·lícula, m'ha encantat, he plorat un muntó, l'he vist ja com 2 vegades, i mil gràcies. That was something in Catalan.
He loved the film.
Yeah, I love the film.
Yes. All right. So, well, about Laia, like we didn't. I didn't talk about how I felt when I was a kid with her. It was more about basically finding the right girl. So Laia has a lot of freedom somehow in terms of personality. Like so I was looking for girls that could kind of be like the characters, so they would be able to be themselves playing to represent the scenes of the film. So there was no need to talk about how you feel if your mom died, So we never talked about death or anything like that. It was more about we built the relationship between the characters, basically spending a lot of time together. So we just, during 2 months, we met very often with the adults and the girls. they would go for a walk and cook and do normal things as a family. And then we also improvised a lot of moments that happened before summer 1993. So in a way, it's like they would have these shared memories already whenever they go to the set, and they would have lived something together. So it was a game for them, basically. It's like, okay, now you are Frida, you are Anna, they are your parents, you know, so we are just like making this story for the film, you know. And so then we spent a couple of weeks in the locations just going through all the scenes of the script, because they never read the script, so it was important for them to know what we were going to shoot and for us to identify the problems that we would face during the shooting, because we shot 6 weeks, but you can only shoot 6 hours per day with kids, and then at the end we managed to shoot 8 hours per day. So it was a kind of quick. We didn't have so much time. And yeah, what were you saying something? No, no. But this is the legal. We follow the legal, the regulations. Exactly. Yes. So yeah, basically that was the process more or less, but there was no need to really talk in a very deep way about how she had to feel. Like she already had something from that was the character somehow, and then we just worked to make whatever they were doing believable. And the other question, yes, I'm working on a new project. I just started writing, so because I had this crazy year traveling all around the world, and but I would pitch it very badly because it's at a very, very early stage. So I can say that it also talks about family relationships. There are kids, but not as the main characters probably, and it's about the rural world that I like. So it has a lot of things in common, but it's not personal. So yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thanks to everybody. Thanks to Jan, Valerie, Carla, and Stefan.